So this is going to be a quick lesson, and it's for everyone who has decent gear or nice gear. If your gear is pretty crappy, just stop watching. But for those of us who have some decent guitars, decent amps, you know, whatever, you get used to that gear being nice, and so wherever you were at with crappy gear, it felt like this, and then you get nice gear and it feels like this, but then you get used to it, so it kind of just feels like the old gear. And so we need ways to undo that, because it affects your playing if you don't like your gear. And if you're constantly fidgeting with like the EQ section on your amp and nothing sounds right, even though at a certain point you bought your amp brand new and it sounded incredible, and then you get used to it and you start playing live and it just doesn't sound right and you get all picky. This is sort of a path to it gets rid of your jaded qualities temporarily, and we can also use it to become better players. So if you have a nice guitar, chances are the strings aren't too far away from the fretboard. Let me grab one. So my action is probably higher than most people's, but you can kind of see this is my guitar probably with the lowest action. And then lately I've been playing this guitar, which is purposely set up bad. I don't know if you can see how much higher the action is, but it's quite a lot higher. This is my jazz guitar, actually. I started playing this guitar mainly because the action is so much higher and the strings are thicker, and I was getting a little too comfortable with nice action and 9-gauge strings, so whenever I'd play someone's acoustic or something, it would just feel like my fingers are slow and dumb. So I started playing this guitar again. I kind of like it, but that's because it actually sounds jazzier than any other guitar I have. One of these days I'll put nice pickups in it and refret it and it'll sound great. But for now it's my cheap guitar. So ideally, if you have a cheap guitar you're not really playing, set it up so that it sucks. You know, make the action high, put some thick strings on it. That way when you go back to your favorite guitar, it feels great. Okay, so if you have a poorly set up guitar, that can make your nice guitars feel like they're set up so much better, even though you haven't changed how they're set up. But we can also default back to thinking the sound of our amps and our guitars is really nice again. And we can do this a few different ways. First of all, if you don't have a cheap crappy guitar and a cheap amp to use, you can just set up your amp so that you hate it. So for me, I'm a neck pickup guy, and if I'm playing by myself, I hate the bridge pickup, so I've got the bridge pickup on. You can turn the treble all the way up. I love reverb, so I've turned the reverb off. You just want to purposely make your sound bad and force yourself to be musical in that context anyways. So now I have a little travel amp. It's this Vox here, sorry. And it's not too bad, but compared to a real amp, it is. And so let's turn this on. I can kind of make this amp sound decent. But that's not the point. The point is to make it sound bad and force yourself to be as musical as possible in spite of that. It's really the most uninspiring sound. Yeah, so I personally hate the sound, but I went camping with my family this summer and I played this amp and I used one of my brother's guitars and only had the bridge pickup. Pretty cheap guitar, I think he got it for free. You know, I was forced to play with my least favorite pickup on a guitar I wasn't a fan of and through an amp I don't like, but be musical in spite of that. And then when I came back and played a tube amp with my favorite guitar, it sounded incredible. And that's how we want our gear to sound and feel to us. Ideally, you want to be a player that's not affected by sound. All my friends that are incredible musicians that I really look up to, they can pick up the crappiest gear and sound musical no matter what, because they don't let it get to their head. Me personally, it does get to my head, and so I gotta do stuff like this to undo that. Yeah, and then once you go back to your nice gear, it feels awesome. It feels like you just got new gear, and that's how it should feel. I think that's about it for this lesson. Pretty simple. If you can, get a crappy, cheap instrument, crappy amp. I used to leave this guitar in my car and then go to work and play it on my breaks. So there's some nice benefits of having gear you don't really care about. Although one day I want to get this set up nice and have some nice pickups in it. I forgot to mention that if you don't know how to change your action on an electric guitar, there's this really cool website called Google where you can find out all the secrets. And if you play acoustic only, then you're kind of screwed. Just gotta get some thicker strings, that's about it.